Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 9:05, 9:06 in Central Time, and as usual, I am connecting to check in on you. Buen día, ¿cómo están todos? Son las 9 horas del centro y aquí conectándome para chequear con ustedes, a ver cómo andan. And today I wanted to talk about something and if you are around, let me know where you are connecting from. I want to know more about you. But today there's something I want to talk about because I know there's a lot of people during this time that are receiving sad news, bad news, feel confused. It's a time of uncertainty, and I wanted to talk about something. If you know me, if you've been following me, you know that for the past, I say 10 years, but it's actually more than 10 years, I have been interviewing superachievers from all walks of life. I have interviewed people who excel in sports, people who excel in showbiz, people who excel in science, in culture, in so many things. And one day I asked myself, because many of them were not the ones that we think are going to be the most likely to succeed in the yearbook. So one day I asked myself, what is the common denominator? What is the invisible thread that somehow unites all of these superachievers and underdogs that I have met and I have interviewed during my life? And I spent some time thinking about it because they were all so different. They came from different backgrounds, different nationalities, different occupations. But one day I was able to identify what was it that all these people that I admire so much, that I got to meet in person and I got to interview, what was it that they all had in common? And I wanted to talk about this particular thing right now because when we see somebody who is having success or who is doing business or receiving an award or is in the public eye somehow, we only see the end result. We don't see the process. We don't see the behind the scenes. So what I realized that all these people that I have interviewed have in common is something that I call to see beyond what is visible. To see, they have the capacity to see beyond what is apparent, to see beyond what is visible at a certain moment and time. When I wrote my book, I called it. Let me see, I have it here. I called it to. I don't think I have it here. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I call it ver más allá de lo aparente. To see beyond the apparent. And why did I call it like that? Because there are moments in life when you see around, you see what's happening around you, and all you see are things that are not encouraging because you're not seeing opportunities, because you are not seeing good news, because you're seeing a reality that somehow is overwhelming for you. And when I interviewed these people, I realized that many of them had gone through different moments and through different times where they felt that kind of feeling, and what they saw was not really something that would forecast the success that they had later in life. And so they had this ability, this is the commonality. They had the ability to see beyond what is visible. And that is an ability that we can all develop. And there's a story that I really like to share. And it's the story of the day I got to interview and meet Carlos Santana. I have always been a big, big fan of Carlos Santana. I grew up with his Supernatural album, and I always felt he really was somebody so, so special. But as I was researching about Carlos Santana, I started learning more about his beginnings. And what I learned about is that Carlos Santana grew up in Mexico. He grew up in a dysfunctional family. He grew up in a very humble family. And something that I did not know until I did the research for the interview was that Carlos Santana was sexually abused as a child. So when you think about it, with all this picture, with all this reality that little kid, Carlito Santana, had when he was growing up, I felt like nothing really could tell in his experience, in his existence, that he would later become the superstar, the rock star that he would later become. So he gave us the interview. He approved the interview, and we agreed to do the interview in his private studio in Las Vegas. And it was a beautiful place, very understated. You know, it was not like you couldn't really guess, unless for the guitars in the walls, the collection of guitars in the walls, you couldn't really tell that this was the private studio of such a mega star like Carlos Santana. But the very first question that I wanted to ask Carlos Santana was this one. I wanted to ask him, because I knew his background, because I knew everything he's been through, especially as a child. Carlos, in what moment did you realize you had what it takes to become a rock star? At what moment did you realize, Carlos, that you had what it takes to become a rock star? Because I knew he came from humble beginnings, he came from a dysfunctional family, and he had been sexually abused as a child. And what he answered to me left me speechless. Because Carlos Santana told me, when I asked that question, Gabby, I was always a rock star. They just didn't know it. I was always a rock star. It was they, the other people, who have not realized my own potential. And that's what I'm talking about when I say about seeing beyond what is visible. Because only through seeing beyond what is visible in a different time, in a difficult time, is that you can realize the possibilities and the potential you may have in the future. If all you're doing is seeing through your eyes whatever is happening right here, right now, sometimes you're going to miss out the opportunity of knowing that inside you, you have the capability of achieving something really extraordinary, or that you have the capability of knowing that this is just a moment in time, that it's going to pass. So every time you're overwhelmed, and I know, and that's why I'm sharing this story, because we are living in a very special time when we are somehow overwhelmed by what we are seeing, but what we are living right here, right now. And I'm not saying that you don't connect with whatever is happening, or that you pretend it's not happening, but think about this notion of seeing beyond what is visible right here, right now. Because every time I have interviewed somebody who beat the odds, every time I have interviewed somebody who was able to overcome very difficult circumstances, they had this capability of seeing beyond the odds. And something else that they always cherish is what I call inner voice over outer noise. And that is something that we all have to make an effort. It's like a tool, you know, like you're your instrument, and you have to recalibrate it every single day, so that that inner voice of whatever you want for you, of whatever you want to build for yourself, or of the peace that you want to have in your life, has to be stronger than the outer noise. So every time you feel you are too overwhelmed, remember this mantra: inner voice over outer noise. And I'm reading you Alberto Obando Rodriguez is saying, Mujer tan especial. Gaby, thank you so much, Alberto. Thank you for your message. Jorge Alfredo, un beso enorme. Thank you for being here today with us. And Marisha Jones, yes, how are you doing? She's a teacher and she's wonderful. She's a professor and she's wonderful. So this is great. So every day I'm gonna check in on you around 9 a.m. Central Time, and I'm going to share something, whether it is a story, whether it is something I lived, whether it is something that inspires me, and we are going to have a space and some time for the people who want to connect, and want to be in the live and want to ask some questions. So tomorrow we're going to have somebody who is going to connect and they want to share whatever is happening in their own lives, or they have a question, or they have something that is happening, so that we can discuss it all together. So I wish you all the best for this day. Make the most out of it. And remember, inner voice over outer noise, and make the most out of it. Remember to see beyond what is visible right here, right now. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time.